100% skip. Rosia is an easy skip. Should you pull Rosia? No. And of course, Saint Tota Swifty, worst 5-star pull in wuwa history clickbait. When we all know the worst 5-star in history is GN. Let's be real. The bro is a fake general, he cries, and he wants to have seats around his grave when he dies. What a freaking Honestly, I think the amount of people who say that she's that bad is a bit over-exaggerated, because she's still pretty useful. In this video, I just want to talk about why I'm going to pull Rosia. First of all, I love the way how she says Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia!
Mamma Mia!
Figure out.
So take this Tectone, because he was literally complaining about the way how she says Mamma Mia.
There's no emotion in it. And the thing is, you only say Mamma Mia, which means like, oh God, when there's something to be emotional about.
Dude, did you even play the story? Do you know that her whole shtick, her whole personality is about being cold and having no emotions? Because if you're unhappy with the way how she says Mamma Mia, then you probably just don't like the way how she talks in general. But that's a bit off topic. And let's be real, the biggest reason to pull her is because Brand is coming up and you don't want to have Brand without Rosia. You need to complete full Stroop.
Watch your back.
A marvelous shot. You've earned your stripes, first mate.
You're welcome. But if you tilted your head just 10 centimeters to the left, it wouldn't have been the Discord's head that got popped. It'd be yours.
I think the biggest reason why people want to skip Rosia is simply to the fact that she almost has the same buff capabilities as Sanha. With her Ultra ability that buffs up Havoc damage amplified by 20% and basic attack damage amplified by 25% for 14 seconds, making her one of the best buffers for basic attack damage and Havoc damage in general. And not even mentioning how useful this group mechanic is gonna be in the tower, or in any type of situation where you need grouping. This is something that is unique to Rosia. This mechanic alone adds so much value in having her in your team. Everybody's saying I skip, I skip, I skip. Honestly, I'm not a fan with writing off a character before they come out, but of course this gives easy views. Because in the end, everybody's just reading the description and they say, yeah, that's not good, that's bad. But in the end, what I believe in is that Wuthering Waves is a gameplay game. You cannot judge a character based completely off text or descriptions. Of course, it's part of it, but I do think that the gameplay aspect matters the most in Wuthering Waves. For a lot of people that don't like Sanha's minigame, for example, where you have to click the button like it's a rhythm game, many people maybe don't like that. I like it, but some people maybe don't. Some people would rather jump around and bounce around 3 times. I do definitely think that Rosia is a very comfortable character to play. She's also quite fun. If you tried her in a trial, which I would definitely recommend you do so to give yourself a picture on how she plays actually. And one other thing we have to keep in mind is that we haven't seen her full capabilities yet. We need to see a full build Rosia with her signature weapon, and then we can see how useful she actually is and how much damage she can also add to your team. I mean, of course, if you're free to play, I definitely get it why you want characters that are very useful. Characters that are meta-defining. And I can definitely see why people say, yeah, Rosia is not the most meta character, and that's why I'm gonna skip, because I value my Astrats a lot. But from the beginning on, I was always a gameplay enjoyer in Wuthering Waves, and I pull characters not because how good they are, I pull them because they feel great to play. When I was playing Yinshi, when I was playing Changli, I was convinced that these characters were the most fun characters to use, and then Camellia came out and she also felt fantastic to play. Now I think Rosia is quite easy to play, might be my character that I put in the team if I want like a relaxation time. If I don't want to have like some stressful quick swap situations with Carlotta Changli or something like that. Bouncing around 3 times, dealing some damage, swapping out, having a group mechanic, taking off some stress from a team. I think these are all things that you have to keep in mind that add definitely value to her kit. You also have to keep in mind that Sanha only buffs basic attack damage. And with Danjin, you have actually an Ultra with Havoc damage amplified. And if you think about it, Rosia combines these 2 Ultra buffs together. And it is always good to have the best buffer for an element in your character bench. Honestly, I wish the Havoc damage amplified would be a bit higher, maybe 25 or 30. One of the craziest things you also have to keep in mind is if you one day maybe buy wave bands from the Afterglow Crawl store, yes, you're actually able to buy 2 wave bands. And eventually, maybe in a couple of years or maybe in a few months, you will have enough in her rerun and get a bunch of wave bands for her. She definitely turns into the best Havoc buffer in the game, because her S2 actually buffs up Havoc damage by 40%. That's a huge freaking buff. Let's talk a bit about the design, because I do think that many people have changed their minds about her. In the beginning she was not that popular, but I can definitely see with the story quests that the people played that the popularity of this character has definitely gone up. Like, her personality is quite funny because she's so cold and unemotional, and the synergy that she had with Brand was really fantastic and funny to watch. And we also got to see the cutest fist bump in history. I mean, Rosia giving a fist bump to Rover was so adorable. Oh, that's adorable. That was the moment where I was like, yeah, I'm convinced I'm gonna get her. And of course, everything is going to be about preference, and I can definitely see that this character is not for everybody, especially because her hair looks like toothpaste. I definitely think though, if she one day gets maybe a skin that makes her look a bit more casual looking, would definitely make this character more approachable for a wider audience. I do think she's a fun character to play, having like this tornado, having these bounce attacks. I do want to say a bit of a warning though, because I do think maybe it's going to be quite repetitive, bouncing around every freaking rotation, but that goes for probably every character that has like repeatable animations. I don't want to compare this to Genshin, but you know, Zhao also had like these bounce animations, and it was quite repetitive and got boring really fast. But then again, Rosia can actually move around while jumping, and her jumps are actually quite fun to pull off as well. So Rosia definitely has a lot of values to get her, especially the group mechanic, the Havoc buff and basic attack damage buff, and you of course have to like her gameplay. Before you pull her, try her in the trial, in the story quest. We're also gonna get a companion quest soon, where we get to know her closer. I do think every time when we get a companion quest, a lot of people change their minds about the characters, because in the end you have to like the character, and I don't think that meta plays too much of a role in Wuthering Waves, because these developers have been doing a fantastic job with balancing the game in a way where every character can shine in certain situations. The 1.0 characters are still pretty valuable. Power creeping is not that real in the game. As a lot of people say, the real power creep is your skill issue. If you have skill issue, you're probably gonna struggle. But if you're a good player, you can play any character and even solo the tower if you want to, or solo holograms. So I'm not the biggest fan if you write off Rosia just simply because she's not the most meta pick, but I can definitely see why people are probably gonna skip. But if you're like me, who wants a future-proof Havoc buffer, because let's be real, Gasholin is maybe gonna be Havoc, and I of course want to have the best Havoc buffer in the game, which is gonna be my S2 Rosia. I'm not gonna get the wave pens immediately, I'm gonna get them eventually, and until that day, I'm ready for Gasholin. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to talk about Rosia. She's gonna come out in a couple of days, and we're gonna see how she's gonna actually perform when she's out, and we can actually try out proper teams with her, try out how she actually plays with the proper teams and the proper builds, because what we've seen in the trial was probably not the real showcase yet. I appreciate you all for watching. If you want to see more Wuthering Waves content, subscribe, give this video a like, I would appreciate it, and I see you in the next one. Bye bye.